you rush for whatever it was, negative yards, and get sacked 9 times. There's a lot you can do better to help your football team.
What's happening? I'm Chandler, Mack, and welcome to this week's edition of Gamecock Extra. Let me throw some stats at you all right off the top. Spencer Rattler threw for 353 yards against UNC, the third most yards thrown by a Gamecock in Week 1. 178 of that total were to Xavier Legette, and that was a program record for most Week 1 receiving yards. Now, let me get to the bad. Carolina didn't sack Drake May in Week 1 one time, but things were a lot different for Spencer. He was sacked 9 times, the most given up by a Gamecock offensive line since 2000. And with Furman on the horizon, Shane and his team are confident things will be better this weekend at Willie B.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's more disappointed or embarrassed than the 20 guys in the room.
It motivates you a lot, makes you want to look at film, check everything, figure out stuff that you definitely need to work on that you probably didn't see before.
Those guys will be fine. I got total confidence in them. I know everybody right now, they're the easy targets to get, to criticize the offensive line. Well, get your shots in now is what I would tell people. And then when they start playing their ass off as this year goes throughout the season, make sure you're giving them credit too as the year goes on also.
Let's bring in former Gamecock and Chapin grad Mason Zandi. Mason, you played on the offensive line, brother. You've been in the trenches. What were some of the problems you saw from the Gamecock O-line last Saturday?
His pass protection was pretty poor. I understand from time to time you're going to get beat, around the edge. A defensive lineman's going to beat you, but it seemed like a few of those sacks were mental errors, and those are things that just can't happen come game day.
I got you, man. And those mental errors may have been caused because the line had a lot of new starters. And for our viewers, describe how difficult it is to build chemistry and to know your keys, especially in a new offense.
It takes a lot of time. Learning a new offense, I learned 2 of them while I was at Carolina. One of them was my redshirt senior year. So learning a new offense is difficult in and of itself. And then you pair that with having a couple new guys starting next to you, it can make communication an issue. And the odds were stacked against you a little bit, but at the end of the day, you had spring ball, you had camp, mental errors really can't be there come game day.
Shane Beamer said on his conference call Sunday night that 7 of the 9 sacks Saturday were because of the offensive line. I guess, final question, do you feel these problems are fixable? And from your perspective, what goes into that process?
Yes, I do think they're fixable. At the end of the day, beginning of the season, new starters out there in a new environment, with the defense that improved drastically from last year and some potential blitz looks that they hadn't seen the year before. I can see the fixes coming, but at the end of the day, yes, you're going to get beat. Yes, you're going to give up sacks throughout the season. It's a part of operating as an offensive lineman, but they don't have a choice. If we can't run the ball and pass protect, we got a long season.
Locked On Gamecock podcast host and Gamecock Digest writer Andrew Lyon joining us now. Andrew, let's toss that North Carolina loss in the trash. Gamecocks got bigger things to worry about. Jordan Strawn is a guy that played at Georgia State. He said that you can't ever underestimate a small school coming to play a bigger school. And Andrew, that goes up even higher when that small program is ranked 6th in the FCS. Defensively, how do you feel Carolina matches up with Furman's offense? And for me, man, I gotta be honest, the biggest thing I want to see from the defense is a pass rush, because I don't know if Drake May's jersey got dirty in Week 1.
Yeah, Chandler, well, I'll say, obviously, from a talent standpoint, I think the Gamecocks match up well against Furman. Obviously, FBS versus FCS. Definitely, no doubt, Furman has got plenty of good ball players on the offensive side of the ball. But I still think that South Carolina should still have an edge in that aspect. But, Chandler, I think this is a week where Jordan Stroud and that defensive front, they just got to focus on what they have to do. I think that last week, that sort of kind of got away from them against North Carolina, a team that was obviously very physical up front and a team that was quite difficult to create negative plays against. I think that they got to try to find a way to change that this week, whether it's maybe the guys just having more of an attitude coming into this game, or Clayton White trying to dial up some more exotic blitzes and maybe load up the box a little bit more. You just got to get some things going, create some momentum for your team, especially early on against a Furman team that, like you said, one of the best FCS teams in the entire country, and certainly an in-state team that's going to be looking to upset the Gamecocks on Saturday night.
Got you, Andrew. And Shane Beamer said Tuesday that Juice Wells is going to play, but you have to think he's going to be limited considering that you got Georgia next week. Xavier Legette obviously did his thing with a Week 1 program record of 178 receiving yards, but the next best pass catcher was second-string quarterback Luke Doty. What are you hoping to see from the passing game if Juice is limited?
Yeah, Chandler, well, you mentioned Xavier Legette's name, and I certainly would look to him first and foremost. And, you talk about a great game that he had against North Carolina. I think that gives him a ton of confidence that, hey, he could be a #1 guy for Spencer Rattler and this offense if Juice Wells is maybe not 100% while he's out there on the field. You look at Amari Brown. He did a couple of nice things against North Carolina. I would expect him to maybe get some touches as long as he's good with that rib injury that Shane Beamer mentioned at Tuesday's press conference. Backups like Nick Harper, expect him to maybe get some more looks on Saturday night. Maybe Omega Blake will get some more snaps. I'd also look to that tight end room. Josiah Simon and Trey Knox. Granted, Spencer Rattler did not have a ton of time to look really for anybody on Saturday night against North Carolina, but those two guys, I think they got to find a way to get the tight ends a little bit more involved. So that way you can maybe open things up a little bit more outside the hash marks for your wide receivers, give them some more one-on-one opportunities, and just let your athletes go out there and make some plays against the Furman Paladins.
With Dakereon Joyner now set in stone at RB1, someone had to be a Swiss Army knife for the Gamecock offense, and that man is Luke Doty, the Gamecock second-string quarterback, put on the receiving gloves against the Tarheels, and he performed well. He hauled in 4 catches for 41 yards, and he is still QB2, but Shane felt the move to receiver was important because it was a way to get Luke on the field.
I talked to him and I told him, look, you're still our backup quarterback, but you're one of our better football players, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to be standing next to me on the field, standing next to me on the sideline for, if we play 70 plays on offense, for 70 plays during games. Let's get you on the field. And
I've always said it. I'm a team guy. I'm going to do whatever it takes to, to get out there and help the team. It doesn't matter what capacity it is. If it's, me being on a headset or me having a headset on the sideline, watching defense and making calls, and that's what it is.